Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation with Steve March, who is the U.S. ecosystem sales leader for Schneider Electric, a global company driving digital transformation by integrating leading-edge energy technologies and real-time automation solutions. After 15 years managing marketing, sales, and business development efforts for engineering, design, and system integration firms, Steve joined Schneider Electric 7 years ago and manages their program and strategy in the U.S. for partnering with companies like those he used to work for in the automation project delivery ecosystem. Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. It's good to be here.
Okay, let's start with how you got here. That is, how did you choose this career?
You know, honestly, I feel it's kind of more like the career chose me. I grew up in Cupertino, California, which for those of you who don't know is kind of the heart of Silicon Valley. It's where Apple Computers was founded. I was growing up there as we had apple orchards turning to apple buildings. And so, you know, I just figured my college major ought to be electrical engineering. I just assumed that was a given. And in fact, I went to start selecting courses for my college major. And I looked at the course list and I said, you know, I'm confident I could do this, but I really don't want to. And so I actually went a completely different direction. Did both undergraduate and graduate degrees in communications, and was teaching and doing some research, market research on the side as well. That was kind of how I started transitioning. Had a former student at a PR firm that asked for some help on some opinion research. I started doing that. I got into sales and marketing. Ended up over several years, ending up at a large consulting engineering firm. Loved it there, loved what I was doing, but didn't see quite the opportunity I was looking for, and went to work for a there's a subcontractor who was in the electrical and instrumentation and control engineering and integration field, what we would call an SI, and loved it and never looked back. Went to run sales and business development for them, and then a few firms after them, and then came to Schneider Electric. It was funny. My father once said early in that decision process, well, who knows? Maybe you'll end up doing communications for a whole bunch of electrical engineers someday. And here we are. So
So the moral of that story is sometimes parents do know what they're talking about.
Every once in a while, it does happen. Yeah.
So how do you describe to lay people what you do?
I'm sure we've all faced that in this industry. I usually start with something like, have you ever seen that show on the Discovery Channel, How It's Made? And usually they have. And so I say, okay, well, forget about all of the artisans that are hand making stuff. Everything that's done in some kind of a factory or industrial facility, whether it's, making the potato chips or bottling the soda or processing and treating the water or any number of other things. Those machines that do all that work are controlled by industrial computing systems. And often those industrial computing systems and process control systems are programmed and integrated and set up by partner companies. So I work for a company that manufactures those systems, and I work with all of our partners in helping them be better at what they do.
So switching now to Schneider Electric, tell us a little bit about how it began and then consequently evolved.
Wow. Well, it began about 185 years ago.
No.
1856. The Schneider brothers acquired an abandoned foundry in France, and they started a company building heavy machinery, and then that kind of evolved into a diversified conglomerate doing a bunch of things. And they eventually refocused first on the electrical distribution industry. And then along the way added industrial automation and ultimately our IoT enabled architecture. One of the key milestones that's shared with the automation industry and with CSIA is that very first PLC, Modicon, was invented by Dick Morley in 1968. For those of you who don't know it, little fun tidbit fact, the name Modicon is derived from modular, see, I won't even say it right, modular digital control. And in fact, you can look up Dick Morley on the CSIA industrial automation blog. There's a link to a great little 90-second video entitled, "What is a PLC?" And Dick appears in that. So, from an abandoned foundry to a global company with almost 130,000 employees, close to 30 billion in revenue, multiple smart factory lighthouse sites were recognized by the World Economic Forum. It's been quite the evolution.
Yeah, not bad for a couple hundred years, right?
Yeah.
So what suppliers do you partner with?
Well, like any big company, there are a lot of companies that we partner with. In fact, frankly, I thought about starting to name multiple, and I thought, I'll leave somebody out, I'll offend someone. So I am going to talk about one, though, that I think it's an important partnership, and it may not be well understood by everybody in the audience. In 2014, Schneider Electric acquired Invensys. And Invensys had a number of brands that were very popular and very forward thinking, but one of the best known was the Wonderware HMI SCADA software, brand operations and monitoring software. We brought them in to really start evolving our entire software portfolio. That accomplished some very important and amazing things, but we also realized along the way, hardware companies and software companies, they're different. Think IBM and Microsoft. They go to market differently. They R&D differently. They develop product differently. They're just different in many, many ways. And so as we looked for how to solve that, we found a company called Aviva, who's a British engineering design software company. They made engineering design software for large industrial facilities. And the idea was we spun our software portfolio into their company with the goal of creating a cradle-to-grave industrial software firm. So we can design your plant, simulate your plant, build your plant, operate your plant, manage the assets in your plant, and so forth. But rather than Aviva writing a check to Schneider Electric for that portfolio, we did what was called a reverse acquisition, which meant that Schneider Electric now took 60% ownership of the Aviva company. So it accomplished a whole bunch of really cool things in terms of their portfolio and our partnership. It allows them to go to market as a true hardware agnostic software company who says, we don't make our software work better with any one PLC than any one other PLC. At the same time, Schneider Electric can come behind and say, yes, that's true. But because they are a part of our overall solutions, we make our hardware work better with their software, and nobody else does that. So it's really been another kind of fantastic evolution that's created something new and different in the marketplace, I think. And that's really our closest partnership.
It reminds me of that old Reese's Pieces commercial. Hey, you got your peanut butter in my chocolate. No, you got my chocolate in my peanut butter.
There you go. Something like that, yes. A new combination that everyone likes. So,
do you specialize in any industry, product, or discipline?
No.
Right. Interviewers love people who just answer with monosyllabic, I can't even say that, answers.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we really do, but you do have to take a few steps back to get the big picture. One of our, the taglines is Schneider Electric provides energy and automation digital solutions for efficiency and sustainability. You might think that's a lot. And you'd be right.
That's what I was thinking. Who's that copywriter?
Yeah. But if you look at our website, the thing is, you'll find, you might find a PLC. You also will find switchgear. You will also find a home thermostat. You go, how does that all fit together? Well, here's how it works. We call our architecture solutions EcoStructure. And we view it as a technology stack. You have connected products at the bottom, things that are wired into the process, meters, motors, sensors, then edge control is above that. And that's however that process is monitored and controlled. So it could be PLC SCADA, it could be DCS, it could be a hybrid or something like that. And then at the top, you have the analytics and apps and services, which take you beyond basic control. So optimization and efficiency and things of that nature. Well, if you were looking for something that would control the environment in living and working spaces, well, we have an ecostructure domain of expertise for buildings. If you needed to solve problems around power quality and secure power and environmental monitoring and management for data center, we have what's called EcoStruxure IT. If you're doing distributed power generation and grid management, we have EcoStruxure Grid Solutions. To automate the machines and the processes in your industrial facility or your factory, you could use EcoStruxure Plant and Machine. And to really tie the value together for power and process to monitor and manage all of those energy resources, we talk about wages, water, air, gas, electricity, steam. We have EcoStruxure Power. So it's pretty unique in terms of providing this end-to-end, top-to-bottom, enterprise-wide set of answers for power and automation. And if you take those 6 domains of expertise, you have energy and automation, digital solutions for efficiency and sustainability. And that is where we specialize.
How has Schneider Electric grown or changed in the past year? And what do you expect for the next 12 to 24 months?
Wow, the landscape is literally constantly changing. In 2020, we acquired RIB software, and then ProLight, which is a specialized control and MES software. In 2021, we gained a controlling stake in ETAP, and that allows them to go to market independently, but also for us to co-develop shared solutions. And then everybody is still buzzing about Aviva's acquisition of OSI Soft and the OSI portfolio. So it's been a huge kind of 12 to 24 month period for us. And honestly, I expect from what I've seen in the last 10 years, just a continued evolution in those same areas of IoT enabled solutions for energy and automation, because it's really been a bringing together of, the IT OT convergence, the power and automation convergence, and we're seeing the benefits of that. And I don't see us changing course.
A little bit about Schneider Electric's SI Partner Program.
Glad to do that. Something near and dear to my heart. Our program is called the Schneider Electric Alliance Program. I mean, people can look up the partner levels and things like that, but I'd like to talk more about kind of our culture and our perspective. The name is very descriptive. It's an alliance, a collaboration. We're not just documenting competence with our technology, although we do that. We don't just provide tiered pricing that's preferential for partners, although we do that. But it's really about collaborative business development. How can we help each other build our businesses? We have a specific focus and we work to prevent competition between our services groups and our partners. That's probably the biggest complaint I hear about other manufacturers from the SIs that we work with. Is that competition, and we work very hard to manage and prevent that where we can. I have a team that specializes in working with the integrator partners in their area, and then we're part of a larger division who is out selling our solutions in the end user community. And so we work together as a team where as they complete sales, and if they need someone to help deliver that, then we have the partners that are best for them to do that. So again, it's a pretty special community, I think, collaborating around those solutions.
Okay, so enough about you. Let's talk about me. What would you say is the biggest benefit of CSIA membership for Schneider Electric?
I think in some ways it's the same benefit that I found in CSIA when I was an SI. It provides a like-minded community of people in the field of automation, and that's important. By like-minded, I mean professionals who are passionate about solving problems with quality solutions. And that passion translates, I'm sorry, I'm going to overuse this word today maybe, but into a willingness to collaborate. You see things in CSIA like peer groups or lessons from a hot stove where, it raises the quality of our industry. And if you didn't have a community, if you just had a bunch of competitors, you wouldn't get that. But it is good for all of us. It raises the level of our industry. And that's important In the same way, I guess, that it's important for the integrators to have that community to build them up, it's important for us to know those integrators who are passionate about quality and passionate about our field.
I have to say, I worked with associations pretty much my whole career, and the CSIA truly, I'm not even like just, trying to be a salesperson here. It is unique in how collaborative the organizations are with each other. It truly is. So
It is.
I appreciate
but
that.
it's okay. Salesperson is not a dirty word in this conversation.
Good point. Good point. So what challenges are your customers facing right now?
Restrictions on travel and on gathering caused some initial challenges as a result of COVID. But at the same time, there are really some fantastic technological answers to those issues. And I think it kind of shined a really bright light on them, which was cool. Solutions for cybersecurity, for remote connections, augmented reality opportunities, enabled partners to address those things. And so that was good. I would say maybe more longer lasting effects from the pandemic are probably around pricing and supply chain issues. There are just more costs and challenges around securing raw materials, around making and distributing products. And that's been just, not even industry wide, it's just a global, everyone in every field, I think, is seeing that and feeling that. I have to say, our supply chain team have just been heroes. The systems and solutions they've implemented, we get updates on what they're doing and what it's addressed and how it's making things better. And it's pretty amazing. But I think it's going to take a little longer for those challenges to subside.
What kinds of trends and challenges are you seeing in industrial automation right now?
Probably on the one hand, the most game-changing, but at the same time, if you look at the curves, the evolution of technologies, it's not really entirely surprising, is that, first come some really cool parts and pieces, right? Some gadgets, some things that do neat stuff. But then as that grows and becomes more popular, you get commoditization. Those parts and pieces become, just lower cost transactional business. And you see the companies involved in manufacturing start building systems and solutions that are built to work together and provide more. And I think we've come to that and are going through that. But then the next typical phase, I think, is that you see platforms emerging that allow for more collaboration and more creativity and less propriety. You think about like cell phones, right? 15 years ago, everybody had a Nokia in their pocket, and everybody thought everybody always would, especially the people at Nokia. And then these guys in Cupertino started putting software on phones, and others joined in, and it changed the whole marketplace. You think about it, technologies like smart homes. Right? If you think about what we thought we'd be able to do 10 or 15 years ago and what we now do, it's not that they started building different refrigerators. For that matter, it's not that they started building the phones really that differently. It was software, it was communication, and it was platforms that allowed them to do things. And I think if you look at the factory of the future, it's not so much that they're going to be building different machines. It's that the networking, the communication, the software, and the platforms that allow openness and collaboration are going to take over, which is just going to allow this explosion of creativity. I think IEC 61499, the Universal Automation Standard, is an example of that. OPAF, the Open Process Automation Forum, is an example of that movement. So I would say that's really the kind of the biggest change on maybe not even on the horizon. I think it's kind of here, and we're starting to walk through it.
You mentioned earlier a couple of acquisitions in the past couple of years, but would you count those as maybe the smartest decisions Schneider Electric has made recently, or are there other decisions that you would put in that category?
Wow, you put me on the spot a little bit there. I wouldn't discount any of those because they are all a part of this strategy and they all play into it. But I guess as I think about the smartest decision recently, I think it's engaging with that universal automation standard, the IEC 61499 standard. We launched a product called EcoStruxure Automation Expert that's based on that platform, that standard. In fact, I think we have a master class coming up on
Nice.
In CSIA on that. Thank you.
Plug that in there.
Doing my part. And it's a platform that paves the way for this open, collaborative approach to automation. That's pretty exciting stuff, being at the forefront. And so I would have to say, yes, all of those acquisitions play into the overall internet and industrial Internet of Things strategy, but launching an early platform in universal automation is probably at the top of my list.
So just a note to our listeners, Steve did mention this masterclass coming up, and as we're recording it, it is coming up, but by the time you guys hear it, it will have already been taken place, but there will be a recording of the masterclass. So don't worry, you'll still get the content. Just want to make that clear as we're working.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
That could have been confusing.
What makes you optimistic about the future of the automation industry?
Well, for us, as I've said, it's both energy and automation, and I would say that they are not stagnant industries. They're growing and developing. I mean, we've all seen those industries that went through the curves and then that was kind of it, and they stayed the same for the next century. And some might have thought that energy was there, but clearly these days it's not. They're growing, they're developing, and I think we have another kind of cultural value that energy is a basic human right, and we are working to make it available to everyone, everywhere, at every moment. And I think that the solutions that are being developed and delivered now in both energy and automation make that a real possibility. And that's exciting. That's cause for optimism. So I think that continued growth and change is really what makes me excited about it.
From a supplier perspective, how should a customer go about choosing a system integrator?
Well, I think we really look at probably three primary criteria that we suggest customers evaluate. As you would expect, one is going to be technological competence. So do they know how to program the solutions that we offer? And so our partner program helps to validate that. If you're a registered partner, it means you have experience. If you're a certified partner, it means your expertise has been validated, both by successful projects and by people taking exams, documenting their knowledge of those products and solutions. So that's certainly important. I think number two, we recommend that they look at the industry segment experience. This is actually one reason why in our program, we enable our certified partners to also earn a segment preferred partner badge. So with further demonstration of experience in a particular segment, you can say, I'm a preferred partner for Schneider Electric solutions in water, wastewater, or in food and beverage, or in oil and gas, or in mining, or, and that's important, I think, because let's be honest, pumping water through a pipe, pumping oil through a pipe, there are some differences. And any integrator who knows both will tell you that red and green don't mean the same thing in every industry. So it's important to customers, I think. And then the third thing would be, is it a solid business? As a customer, it's hard. You don't see behind that curtain. They're not going to show you their books or their HR policies or things like that. But honestly, a professional certification like CSIA certification is such an important qualification because it's not about a particular manufacturer technology. It's not about a particular industry. It's about, are you a solid business? If we hire you today, are you going to be there tomorrow to support us and back us up? And it's that third party validation that I think is important. So I would look at those three things are probably what I would recommend.
Switching gears a little bit, I want to talk a little bit more about you. I know you love what you do, but if we could clone you, what occupation would clone Steve have? I know what I would pick for you. I think you would be a great voiceover artist or a radio host. I think you've got the most terrific
maybe
voice.
A cartoon character. Well, I started out in teaching and I really enjoy that. So that would be one possibility. I also I had longer hair and did a lot of music when I was younger. I haven't been able to pound the keys as much as I would like. So I'm not sure between teaching and music. Not teaching music. I tried that a couple of times with the kids. That didn't go well, but probably one of those two.
What instrument or instruments do you play?
Primarily keyboards and guitar.
Nice. That's what I like about these interviews. You always learn a little something about somebody. Like I've talked to you a million times.
Tidbit.
That's never come up. So it's
You're
interesting. Right. So last question. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
Pass on the mustache. It's not a good look. Did not work for me. But seriously, I told my kids, and now I tell other people's kids, even when you're in college, don't just think, well, now I'm training and later I'll actually do a career. And so I'm going to get a job, that just brings in a little spending money. I mean, yes, that's important and that's good, but find your passion and begin getting relevant experience while you're still learning. That's what companies look for, is what have you done with this? And I think that's important. And in addition to getting relevant experience while you're learning, don't ever plan to stop learning.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you are interested in learning more about Steve March or Schneider Electric, you can find them on the Industrial Automation Exchange at www.csiaexchange.com. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Steve, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. It's been my pleasure.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also help others find us by leaving a 5-star review and sharing your favorite episodes with colleagues. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Thanks also to bensound.com and Wistia for the music bumpers. Until next time.